Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.
Hi there, YouTube. We're just drilling the holes for the new stanchions. Thought we'd do some work on the S100 today. I bought the new stanchions from Amazon. Quite cheap, couple of quid a pack, 10 stanchions in each pack. And I've cut them down to size. So we're just drilling the holes right now. I've got 20 of these to drill. And the reason we're doing this is to give it some reinforcement, because if I'm dragging it to the pond every weekend or whenever I feel like it, I don't want to be snapping these off. I've already snapped loads off, just moving it from the loft down to here. So I'm going to replace them all with brass. All of the uprights eventually will be converted to brass or copper, and I'll make some bucks as well to do sort the complicated railings out up forward of the ship. So we're just drilling the holes. This is a 0.8mm needle vise that I'm using, and drill bit. Being careful to keep it upright. It doesn't look right upright in the video, but I can assure you it is. Right, we're through there. The paintbrush gone. So just move that out of the way. Next. Get me a starting point right in the middle. I think you can see that one. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're fitting the stanchions. I've already done a couple and they're nice and glued, so I get my little dipper out. Just want a tiny bit on the end of the stanchion. All these have been cut to size now, as good as they're going to get. It's the closest I could find online for the size, because realistically the amount of work that would go into making 20 of these would just be horrendous. So we get that fitted in nicely there. Let's get you on. Look about correct. Yep. So that one's in, and already that's stuck. I mentioned before in a previous video about cyano, or super glue as people call it. There's loads of different grades of it, and getting the correct grade is so important. This is quite a tight fit on the stanchions for the holes that I've drilled, but if you've got any kind of gap, then you don't want normal, thick, what I call thin cyano. You need a thick cyano for filling in the gaps. And this stuff here takes 10 to 30 seconds to set, depending on how warm it is in your room. And it's just brilliant. And it's about £2 for, what is it, 50mm off of Amazon. And you could pay a lot more than that just for a little tiny 10mm pack. So you're in, lovely. Don't want to force them too far through, because they'll be all over the place and not in line. That's the trick, you see. So I hope this is coming out on the vid. Just need a little tiny drop on the end all the way around. And again, the reason why I'm not using the proper cap for the super glue or cyano is that 9 times out of 10 you get a bit left over on the tip. You put your cap back on, you can't get it back open again. Always a nightmare. So I'm just making sure these are all nicely in line before it sets. You get about, like I say, 10 to 30 seconds to make sure they're all in line and nice and upright. You don't have to worry about exactly upright, because these will bend. The super glue is stronger than the brass, so you can bend the actual stanchion back into an upright position. So let's get all these done. Remind yourself to only use a small clip of what I'm doing now, or else it'd be very boring just watching me sticking these into the holes. Also important is, if you get any on your fingers, wipe it off straight away, or else it'll stick to the things that you're trying to fix in place, and it just looks messy. Also, try not to touch the ends that you're gluing in place, because any kind of grease that gets in there, you're not going to get a very good joint. Although cyano is pretty good at getting around that. Got a difficult one to get in now. Let's get you in, mainly because it's right next to that. I don't even know if you can see this. It's looking all dark on the cam. Right, okay. No, you're sticking out way too far. You need to go in a bit more, mister. Right, let me just check that. Just about there. Turn it a bit. There we go. Let you dry now. Okay, all the stanchions are in. Happy about that. And just to give you an idea of the sizes we're working with down here, I've just been making some whip aerials for the top of the wheelhouse. Let me get it. There we go. That is plastic, and it used to fit there. So obviously, if I'm going to the pond, that's going to get broken off. So I'm replacing these with some that I made up earlier. That is just, let me get the camera on this. This just brass wire, flattened the end and drilled a little tiny hole in it. Let me pick one of these up, see if you can see it. So these are actually more scale correct than the whip wires that were on it. So let me get that in focus. Where are you? There you are. Come back a bit. So if I lay it next to the scale, the actual loop is 1 mil and the hole is 0.5 mil inside there. So basically all I'm doing is using the good old Dremel. Well, it's not even a Dremel, it's fake Dremel actually. So I'll just flatten the end out, drill a hole in it, and then Dremel it around into shape. Anyway, that's just to give you an idea of the sizes that we're working with here, to replace all the bits that probably break off when I take it to the pond. So I'll continue making those. Get the little leg off of this and do the same on the brass one. I'm going to have to solder it on. Cut a piece off, solder it on, but I'll need to make a buck to hold it all in place. That's a buck to hold it all in place while I'm soldering. So, block of wood out. I'm going to Dremel out a channel, and a channel at the right angle for that leg. Then it'll drop in. I'll compress it in place and then solder it on. As you can see, we made the buck. I've got the little leg teed off there, soldered on. Obviously, I'll just Dremel off that bit of solder that's left pointing out, and the original there, just as I was picking it up to try and match it up, it snapped. So it just goes to show you how weak that plastic is on there, and a good idea to replace all the weak plastic bits with brass. As you can see, we've now made one of the whip antennas. A little bit, obviously the upright's a little bit longer because it's got to fit in a hole on the actual wheelhouse there. I don't know if you can see it. And into the side bit where I've drilled another hole. So that's it, all nice and soldered up. There's the buck impression. So I've got one more to do, and then we'll fit them, and that's the next thing you'll see. So there we have it. The whip antenna's installed. Let's try and get that in focus. These really are tiny. Let me get the ruler out. So, as you can see, they're about 1 mil in diameter. That's some really tiny soldering going on there. The diddy hole at the top there, which is about 0.5 mil. So, More to do tomorrow. That'll do for today. I've got my stanchions in place. I'm happy with that. I've got these ones to replace tomorrow. I'll have to build a buck to hold those as well, because they're going to snap without, well, one's already gone, as you can see. So we get them nice and strengthened up tomorrow with some replacement brass ones. That'll do for today. Well, also today we managed to get the Sherman going. The gun finally working. Let's start her up.
Oh my God, Sergeant, what is that?
That, son, is a king tiger tag.
We gonna go stick a shell up its ass, Sarge?
Son, next time you back home, you go to your local zoo. You go up to the nearest tiger and you poke it in the ass. See what happens.
Guess that's a no then, Sarge.